I'm encouraging you to work smart, so it's best that I work smart too. I'm going to save this right now. And you see I've named a couple layers off screen, so I'm going to double click here and call that the demo layer. And it's hidden right now. Remember visibility, it's on, it's off, and this layer is locked so we can't do anything. Now we can work on this one. And the first thing we want to do is we want to find out how big Julius Caesar needs to be. So I'm going to move this up, but I'm going to hold down Shift so I don't move it sideways, right? Move it up. And then, do you remember, we don't need to grab the type tool. After we've typed it, we've got our black cursor and we can double click to get the insertion point. But I'm going to go ahead and click away and show you kind of a cool trick. If we triple click, we get that whole line. Now, that may or may not work for you. But the idea is, because we're going to change these two lines of text independent of one another, we have to select what we want to change. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click and then click and drag, because the other might be a little difficult. Now we want to guess how big. This is 240 and it needs to be at least twice as big. So if we go to 600 and hit return to enter that, well, that starts to get a little close to where we want to be. And then I told you we were going to tighten this up. Now here, right here, if I hover over this, it says set the tracking for the selected characters. And you can use these little arrows to open it up, close it down. But there is a better keyboard shortcut, and you should spend some time and learn this. Option and the left and right arrows. Okay, the arrow keys are in between the alpha pad on the left and the numeric pad on the right. See those arrows down there? Hold down Option, and if I go to the left, I start tightening this up. If I go to the right, I open it up. So it's a cool way to do it, and you notice it's jumping by 5 at a time. So when we get it close, if we want to fine tune it, then we can come in here and click this to decide where we want this. Okay, so let's pretend like that's perfect, and pretend is what we're doing right now because it's not perfect. So we need a little more length now, so we can use this to bump this up. But I already told you the shortcut. If you want to learn how to increase the size of text, it's Shift, Command, and then the greater than sign, the period. And this takes it up a half a point at a time, because that's what we set this at, if you remember, in our preferences. So I'm going to go ahead and say 615 and call that good. Then we want to change this line of text independent of this one. And we want to establish a little variety. We have a bold text here. We should have something thin. We have bold selected. So what happens if we choose thin? Maybe that's a little too thin. And this is where you have to season to taste and decide what it is that looks best. I'm going to go ahead and go with light. I used book in the original example. And then we need to take this down probably somewhere about half its size, 120, and then hit tab or return. Now we have this here. Do you remember the shortcut to open the tracking? Option, right arrow. And are we inside a dialog box somewhere? I'm going to click here just to get out of what we're doing. Option, right arrow. There we go. I don't know where the cursor was, but now it works. And you see we're taking it out and we're getting it about where we want it to be. So right now we've got these two lines of text formatted, but we have them so far away from one another. That's leading, and we're going to come back and play with leading in the next quest.